This is the three-man booth. I'm Dan Salem with Phil and Bud. We're all in the house, but we're always in the house, and football's still going. Guys, new season, lots of news. How are you? How are you holding up?
That's a loaded question, actually.
Very loaded question.
It's awful. This is awful.
But the NFL's still operating, which is thumbs up, and we could talk about it. I know Bud's not so optimistic about the season, but we got to at least assume that they're going to play, no matter how they play. Two major rule changes. They got rid of the pass interference review, and they're adding playoff teams. One will probably have zero impact. The other definitely huge changes if we have to play it through.
Well, I think that adding the extra playoff team is really crucial because then, like, you'll have more teams that don't want to tank, because even if you get 8-8, you probably would get that last playoff spot. I mean, Pittsburgh would have made the playoffs this year at 8-8.
Yeah.
Right. So, and the Jets were only one game behind the Steelers. So, you know, it certainly promotes teams from not tanking and keeping competitive play throughout the year. I mean, if you go, you might even make it in at 7-9. Like you have no idea, depending on how bad the conference is any particular year.
I completely agree, and there's always going to be like one or two teams that probably tank, but it will definitely stop someone halfway through the season deciding it's over, which happens a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's still that debate when you get to the playoffs. Is it beneficial to get a bye or not? Because let's say you get that week off, but you're rusty. And we've seen it many, many times. We've seen number 1 and 2 seeds get knocked off all the time. Now the only number 1 seed gets the bye. It's still a good debate whether or not it's actually beneficial or not, unless you're full of injuries and you need a week off. But these teams take off week 17 anyway, so really you're taking off 2 weeks.
Well, it's interesting you say that because as a player, they're getting paid now to not play, and that's the only week they'll ever have that happen. So they probably want to earn that paycheck for free in principle. But we do see the momentum lost, and the wildcard teams have it year after year after year.
Oh, how many wildcard teams have won the Super Bowl the last 10 years? A lot of them. At least gotten to the Super Bowl, let alone win it.
Yeah, I mean, Tennessee was close last season too. It's definitely interesting.
So it's neat that they got that first rule change about the playoff teams this year, because next year is when they add the extra week.
Yeah,
I still don't know how that's going to work out. Is it going to be? I saw a really interesting thought about that last week. You take the NFC team and the AFC team that had the best record, and you put them together from last year, obviously, and then you go all the way down the list, and then the two worst teams like that. At least that makes it fair and competitive. I don't know what they're actually going to do. I didn't hear anything about how they're going to do how that works or not.
They may have to delay it because I think a lot of that was predicated on international games, which are definitely not coming back this season. If again, we're assuming.
Well, they said it was available to start next year. That doesn't mean it's actually going to start next year.
Because I know they were trying to expand into Mexico City and London and back into Canada. So,
how are they? They're not going to be able to play international games this year.
No, this year they won't. So that's what I mean. That I don't know.
Well, the schedule comes out in like 2 weeks, though.
Beginning of May.
Yeah.
So end of April, beginning of May. All right, 3 weeks.
So they're doing the draft fully digital, right? And
I think that's awesome.
Yeah, which is great. I think it removes so much of the mistakes that our teams constantly make overthinking their draft picks. So I'm excited to streamline the thing and do it this way. But it's just like the death of NFL Sunday Ticket, because if they're going to play this season out, it's going to be a digital television product more than it is if anyone's even allowed in the stadium. They're going to have to stream these games. They're going to have to let you watch them. I don't know that contract still exists, but maybe they'll break it.
For what? What do you mean?
DirecTV, I think, has 1 or 2 more years of monopoly over the NFL's.
DirecTV is tanking right now.
AT&T DirecTV. Yeah.
Yeah, they're tanking. They're losing money head over fist.
What if NFL Sunday Ticket becomes a part of HBO Now, which is AT&T's new streaming service? Or AT&T has HBO Now. I don't know. It'd be interesting if they throw it in with their new streaming service they're trying to push.
Well, they're gonna need to figure something out, because there's gonna be even if all of this passes and we have fans in football stadiums at the end of the year, I can assure you that there's going to be a large demographic of fans that are going to be afraid of going out still.
I'm going.
Yeah.
Well,
yes,
that may be you. I'm not going, and I go to a game every year. I'm not going to Ground Zero where, there's going to be 80,000 people in there to watch a crummy football team. I'll just stay home and watch it on TV.
I mean, I have to stay home to see my team, but I hope that you'll feel differently by August because it'll be enough time for it to roll over. Because I'd like to go to the new LA stadium where the Chargers and Rams are playing.
That logo is awful.
Yeah. So, but the Rams, the Falcons, and the Buccaneers all changed logos, right?
Chargers too.
Is this just like, what is this? Was this planned, or you think they just decided what the hell, we had nothing better to do?
Did Vegas change their logo yet or no?
Oh, I haven't seen theirs.
I mean, either. I haven't heard anything about it. I'm just curious. They moved. Are they just going to keep the same old Raider with the two swords going between them?
That's a good question.
I mean, that's an easy. There's nothing on there that.
Yeah, I don't think you can change the Raiders logo. That's iconic. Like. Yeah,
true. They actually, there was a video, I think it was today I was watching on Bleacher Report. Somebody was driving by the Raiders Stadium at night, and it's just lit up like a Christmas tree now.
Yeah, that's cool.
It looks pretty neat. It's like right on the strip too.
The Vegas is dark, so it's not surprising.
So here's one thing that I think is pretty cool about this year, and I think it's kind of getting swept under the rug. The NFL is allowing NFL teams to use second helmets.
Oh.
Now I bring this up, and this is the only reason why I bring it up, is I love the Titans uniform.
Okay.
The Jets Titans with the blue and the yellow.
Yeah, I thought you meant the Tennessee Titans. I was like, are we going?
No, like when they were the New York Titans.
Yeah.
But this gives them the opportunity to bring those jerseys back.
Okay, because they'll have a second helmet to go with.
Because they're allowed to have a second helmet.
That'd be cool. Yeah, no, that was a good one because they always did the Throwback Thursday games or.
Right.
What do they call them? Colors.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that'd be pretty cool.
I hope they do that. Giants don't have a throwback that's really.
Yeah, they do. They have the one that the helmet that just says Giants.
Right.
Well, that was like mid-90s. That there's going back even further. It's primarily been the NY in some weird configuration. The 90s Giants had the Giants across the helmet, but every other thing before that, it's been NY.
That for a week. They're going to do a lot of nifty things to get fans back in the stadiums.
How about seeing Tom Brady in one of those creamsicle jerseys?
I mean, we get to watch Tom Brady versus Drew Brees twice a year. Tom Brady versus Teddy Bridgewater, I guess. Anyways, I'm happy to be rid of him. I'm happy. I'm going to segue now. I'm happy with what the Jets have done this offseason, which is made zero noise but filled holes on their team. Phil, you got to be pretty happy with the Giants, too. They haven't made much noise, but filled a lot of holes.
They filled a lot of holes. Safety, cornerback, linebacker. What do we got here? Offensive tackle, an edge rusher. Colt McCoy backing up Daniel Jones. That's big news.
Yeah. Apparently, we had a guy that was backing up Darnold that I was unaware of.
I'm actually surprised. I'm a little surprised, but not so much that they didn't overpay for Clowney. That sounds like a move that somebody would have done, but nobody in the NFL has even taken a stab at him yet. Maybe it's because there's a lot of uncertainty at the moment, but I would have thought he would have been scooped up early.
Well, he wanted $20 million a year. Now he's asked for lower. Yeah. I know that I read something about the Jets had inquired, Tennessee had inquired, and there was, I think, Seattle.
I think, I don't think anyone wants. Yeah. Well, no one wanted to pay him that, right? Especially before the CBA got signed.
No.
And then doesn't he need a physical? Wasn't he coming off an injury?
Coming off of a knee injury, I think.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can't invest that much money in a guy that can't pass your physical until later. So,
listen, what is one of the things that Jet fans are constantly harping on?
Winning March.
No.
Offensive line. No. None of those things. They haven't had a pass rusher since John Abraham.
Oh, all right.
They have not been able from the outside of the defensive line to get to the quarterback. You have like $60 million still in the cap. This GM, which I think is a great move, and I think that he's really filling in the holes. Like the biggest gap was offensive line, and he's taking care of that, right?
Yeah.
But he's given stopgap contracts, so it's only 1 or 2 years, 1 or 2 year contracts. A lot of the people that he signed are only 1 year deals, so he hasn't been blowing the cap out of the water. So why not throw a bunch of money at Clowney, put him on the defensive line, and you just picked up the other inside linebacker from Baltimore. You still need cornerback help. That's a huge need. Your safety play is obviously, I would have to say, probably top 3 in the league. And then your offensive line is hopefully going to get better. You need to get a wide receiver, and I think that's where they're going to go in the draft. I think they're going to go after what's his name, Jury, I think his name is, from Alabama, or the other kid from Oklahoma. They're high. I forgot the kid's name, but they're high on him too.
DC, right? Or CC West?
Yeah, DC. Yeah.
DC,
but I think, at this point, you don't really have any outside weapons for Darnold to throw the ball to, especially nobody down the field with Robbie Anderson being gone. So, I mean, unless you're going to be throwing the ball 5 yards to Crowder every single time, which, 5 yards is a first down. But at the same point, he's really a third option for him, not a first.
So then I will mention the New England model. They got a tight end, a slot guy, and then a stream of running backs. So if the Jets can turn one of their tight ends into a stud, which remains to be seen. I mean, they had decent seasons, but nothing standout-ish. That's another option outside of a wide receiver. Now, I do think they'll draft one of these young receivers, and they'll hope they'll develop them in-house. I mean, if you can't develop a player in-house, you're going to lose.
Yeah, I mean, part of the thing with to your point to the tight end, I mean, Herndon played, 10 snaps last year? Yeah. He played that one game that we went to, Phil, in the Giants game, and he ended up breaking a rib, and then he got put on IR 4 days later. So, I mean, Herndon showed signs of being a legitimate weapon for Darnold 2 years ago, and then last year he was a non-factor. So maybe if they get him back in the fold, to your point, that's great, but you still don't have a down the field threat that can stretch the field with speed. And I mean, these wide receivers that are in the draft, the ones that are going to go high, they all have speed and they all have the agility to beat corners down the field. So,
and the guy they got from Tampa Bay, he can be
Herman.
He can be a real stud if they get the number 1 in the draft. I mean, he did well at Tampa Bay because they got Mike Evans and they got the other guy. They got a 1-2 punch.
Galladay.
Yeah,
no, not Galladay. Galloway.
Godwin. They got a 1-2 punch that's just unbelievable, and so no one was covering him, and he just destroyed defenses for several weeks in a row. So I'm happy with where the Jets, especially with the 11th pick, have done so far. Mm-hmm. And year 2 of Greg Williams, he worked magic in the defense last year, so I could see them drafting a late round cornerback and hoping they turns into something, but I'm not sure that they'll throw money at the cornerback anymore. Clowney's a real 50-50 for me if they go after him right around draft time.
Well, the good news is for the Jets is they got the Giants' second round pick for basically peanuts. They took Leonard Williams away and then they franchised them.
They had to. They had no choice.
Well, I mean, the Jets made off huge in that deal because he did nothing for the Giants, because the Giants didn't perform after they drafted him. I mean, after they traded for him, the Jets get his second round pick.
If I was a Giants fan, Phil, I would say, well, you know what? We don't have to worry about that position. He may not put up any numbers, but at least he'll play.
Right. And you know what?
It's way too much.
There's a ton of. I mean, you're not paying your quarterback. You're not paying your running back. They have money to throw around. So yeah, if you want to take a chance, whatever. It's not going to hurt you in the long run.
No, I mean, Williams does best when there's a star next to him, and I don't know if the Giants have that yet, but he's decent.
Not yet. They don't.
Yeah.
Their defense is weak.
Well, that's why they got a quarterback, a linebacker, another outside linebacker. So at least they're addressing those positions.
You think
they got Colt McCoy?
What's that?
McCoy. I said,
what did you say?
You think they'll go wide receiver in the top 10? I mean, they need that too.
I don't know. I honestly, I have no idea what they're going to do. I really don't. I've seen everything. I've seen they pick a lineman. I've seen they pick a wide receiver. I've seen defense. I don't know. I saw Maurice Jones-Drew's mock draft, and apparently he has the Giants trading up to get Chase Young, which is not going to happen, by the way.
When did he become an expert?
Everybody does a mock draft around here now. Right. But I've literally seen everything. I've seen him trading out of it, which I think is smart. So I honestly have no idea what they're going to do.
The Giants would be foolish not to pick an offensive lineman.
I agree with you.
They'll have a shot at one of the top two guys. The Jets probably.
Absolutely.
Right.
Especially where they're picking. Where are they picking, 5 or 6? They're picking 4.
4.
Oh, they got to get the best lineman. I mean, I think the top 3 is quarterback.
Oh, yeah. They'll definitely – I mean, the offensive lineman from Georgia is going to be there, the tackle.
Yeah.
Right. So they're going to have the pick of the litter. It's just a matter of which direction they go.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's super interesting. I'm sorry, for whatever reason, it just popped into my head that Cam Newton's still available, and I still like Cam Newton. I just
is it surprising? Is it surprising to you that New England is not going after one of these free agent quarterbacks? And I mean, is it? Now's the great debate. Was it Belichick making Brady, or was it Brady making Belichick? Because if Brady goes on and he's a stud down in Tampa, and they go 13-3 and win the division, and Belichick shits the bed, then everybody will be up in arms. But if Brady goes down and he's 13-3, and Belichick he picks this quarterback that nobody's ever heard of before, and they go 12-4 again, I mean.
I think the likeliest scenario is that both teams win around 10 games. Patriots lose an extra game or 2 without Brady, and the Bucs win an extra game, 2 or 3 games with Brady. And so, I mean, I think it was both guys. But the Patriots' track record of pulling shit out of a hat with the quarterback for a single season is really high. So they don't need.
Is there any possibility they tank for Trevor Lawrence next year?
I don't see Belichick having tanking in his DNA.
I don't see him being a tanker. I will say this.
Who's on that roster right now? Edelman? That's it.
Yeah, but they had the top defense in the league for 3/4 of the season last year.
Yeah, but then when they figured out that their offense wasn't doing anything and so much pressure was on the defense completely buckled in the end. So, yeah. Nothing would make me happier. I know, Dan, you feel the same way.
Yeah.
If they go out 5-11,
what if they sign Cam Newton though?
But that's what I mean. Like, he's sitting out there. Nobody wants him. You really mean to tell me that Chicago, that all these rumors around Cam Newton and everything that's going on in Chicago, when they wanted Cam Newton, they're going to be happy with the competition between Nick Foles and Trubisky? And Cam Newton sitting there? Come on. Something's fishy with the whole thing.
There's that information like about his shoulder and like it's not healed or something that we don't know, because I agree.
He was cleared by the Panthers.
Yeah, and they let him go for Bridgewater, who maybe.
I hope he does well. I mean.
Yeah. But Cam's going to get signed, I think, after the draft. If one of these teams that needs a quarterback like that are in the teens or the mid-first round, like the Chargers or the Dolphins, and someone hops them, they don't get a quarterback they want, Cam Newton's obviously going to be sitting out there the day after the draft.
Even if somebody hops over the Dolphins are still going to have their pick for a top 3 quarterback.
I'm just using them as an example. But the Chargers need a quarterback. There's a lot of teams that still need a quarterback.
Yeah. The Chargers are a good option, I think.
But I mean, the Chargers, for everything that I read, they're comfortable with going with Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah, they say that,
right? I mean, he's good, but not great.
Do you think that's who they want to open up that brand new stadium with, though?
No,
not.
I mean, he's not a flashy name. He's not nationally known, and he's good, but not great. Newton was an MVP. No, it's just.
When is the Chargers picking? They're picking right after the Dolphins, right? They're picking 6.
It's in the top 10. I forget exactly which one, but
I don't know if the Dolphins are going to draft Tua. The past few days, people are not real.
Yeah.
It's not that they're not high on him. They are so concerned about him being injury prone and having to take him so high in the draft. I mean, Miami would be the perfect spot. We've talked about this before because he can sit a year behind Fitzpatrick. He can basically – it's like a red shirt. Fitzpatrick is a very serviceable quarterback. He did well in Miami last year. He's got 1 year left. You ride him off the pasture, and then you have Tua who basically sits down for a year, gets better, learns the NFL scheme, and then plays in.
Do you think there's any way Tua falls to like the 15 to 20 range and the Patriots trade up for him?
I mean, I don't think he gets there, but I think that if he gets past 10, the Jets aren't taking him, obviously. So he's definitely going to go. He's definitely going to jump after 12. Maybe New England does that.
Because, I mean, I agree with this digital process. They're not able to interview him in person. They're not able to run a physical with him at their facility. So they don't have a lot of tape on him from last season because he got hurt. If there's any question about his being injury prone, they're going to pass and go with the safe best player available and not go quarterback, which is so risky to begin with.
Yeah, but Herbert will be sitting there too. I mean, and that's the debate. And we all remember if Herbert came out of school last year, he was going to be the number 1 overall pick. I mean, that was light years ahead of what everybody said that he was going to be. And then he went back to Oregon, and now all of a sudden, Joe Burrow pops out of nowhere, and now he's the number 1 pick. What separates last year? He's going to be the number 1 pick, and this year he's now what?
We saw the same thing with Darnold. He was going to be the number 1. He came back to school, and then he fell to the Jets at 3.
Yeah, but he still went 3.
But nobody. Yeah, so he still fell a couple spots behind another 2 quarterbacks. So.
But Baker Mayfield had a hell of a year. Now, listen, we're not sold on Baker Mayfield. I think we know what Baker.
It's a very similar situation to what you just said. I would rather draft the guy that was the number 1 pick last year,
right?
The one that came out of nowhere for a season,
right?
Yeah.
I think Sam is going to have a good year. I mean, I think he needs an offensive line that keeps him upright. They need to be able to utilize Bell. They need a wide receiver that helps stretch the field.
Yeah.
Defense obviously played much better than what people expected them to play last year. So if they can continue that, I think that they can. There's
going to be very little to no offseason for these players in person with their coaches. If they're lucky, they'll get a month, right? So someone like Jones and the Giants or Darnold and the Jets who are running it back with the same coach and the same offensive coordinator and the same playbook are at a huge advantage over any team turning it over. Like, the only problem is not going to play out at camp.
The only problem is Daniel Jones has a new quarterback and a new coach. Has a new coach this year.
Oh, he does? Oh, I'm sorry. I can't keep track with the Giants these last few seasons. They usually are stability. Anyway, at least Daniel Jones is familiar with his teammates and the team. So he's not as much of an advantage as Darnold, but he's got a leg up on someone like – Brady's a veteran, but he's learning a whole new offense. The Patriots got nobody with nothing. And how are they going to coach the guy? They can't.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The Patriots cupboard is empty right now, is absolutely empty. There may be a couple of cornflakes and some Rice Krispies. That's about it. There's nothing flashy in there.
And maybe that's why they taste good. Maybe that's why they're running it back with the guy that backed up Brady last year, because he knows the offense and that he knows the coaching staff, and they at least know what he can do. Everything else is a question.
Listen, this quarterback threw 3 passes last year against the New York Jets, one of which got picked off in return for a touchdown. He was immediately pulled from the game, and they put Tom Brady back in the game. Right. And they were already up 65-0.
Well, I hope he's their quarterback.
Well, me too. But what I'm saying is that you have unless he is an all-star against the scrubs in the practice squad, you have this much viewing of him in an actual NFL game.
But don't they also have their number 2? Don't they have
Brian Hoyer?
Yeah,
Brian Hoyer.
Can't he start? He used to start.
It's Brian Hoyer's 15th stint with the Patriots.
That's all the more reason he knows the offense.
You're right. It's true.
How many players of Brian Hoyer's caliber have become star players with the Patriots for a season? Garoppolo was really
Matt Castle. Remember Matt Castle?
Yeah, and then you forgot Matt Castle. Exactly.
Yeah, because Russell Wilson beat him out.
One
No,
didn't play well.
you're thinking
Oh,
of
that was Matt Flynn. That was Matt Flynn.
Flynn.
Castle
That's
didn't
right.
play well. I think Castle flamed out on the Vikings or something.
Matt Castle went to Kansas City.
That's right.
And that
It's
was
tough to keep track of these one-hit wonders.
Well, that's what Kirk Cousins has managed to keep his job while still not playing up to his contract.
And he just lost one of his biggest weapons in Stephon Diggs. So
yeah, I mean,
So are you you're happy Brady's out of the division, but the people up the interstate there in New York are got a lot better in the offseason. In Buffalo.
And you both know me pretty well. I mean, we grew up together. I'm not really an optimistic person. I think Miami is getting better, and I think Buffalo is. I mean, Buffalo should have won the division last year. I think the Jets, if their cards play right and Gase doesn't shoot himself in the foot, they could probably get that last new wild card spot.
yeah, that's a realistic expectation.
I think that's a realistic expectation. I don't think the division is even a sniff.
Yeah,
I think
I
think it's Buffalo's to lose.
And the only way that's not true is if they're one of those teams, because there's a ton of them every season, which they do okay, they shoot up the standings, and then they fall right back down. I mean, Carolina's zigzagged for years, and that means Buffalo's an 8-win team next season because they don't have things break quite their way, and they lose a couple extra games instead of win a couple extra. And 8 wins is probably not going to get them in. It's definitely not going to win them the division.
So right now you have it as, if you were going to pick today, you have Buffalo, the Jets, the Patriots, and then Miami.
Oh, that's not my order.
I'm saying for Bud.
No, that's not even my order either. I
Really?
think I would pick Buffalo, the Patriots, the Jets, and then Miami.
I just don't see how the Patriots are going to win enough games with nothing there. I don't see it right now. There's nothing in that roster that screams 10 wins at all.
Listen, I hope they go 5-11.
And they're playing a first place schedule, by the way, too. So don't forget that.
Yeah, I don't see them. I don't see them doing worse than 8-8. I think Belichick's got 8-8 in the bag. He just does it.
I mean, we can have this conversation in a few weeks when the schedule comes out, because that's
I mean,
there's nothing like going through the win-loss schedule.
Don't you think that the Patriots split with Buffalo and split with the Jets and beat Miami twice? That's 4 wins.
I don't even think I'm not
4 wins. I think
maybe.
they pull a home victory out of their butt against both those teams. They could beat the Jets twice easy. That's 5 wins. They're halfway to 10.
The Patriots are going to have to be, to your point, Dan. They're going to have to lean heavily on their defense to keep these games low scoring. Not a lot of productivity from the offense. But the question is, if for 7 or 8 weeks that was their MO last year, but then that got tired, and then all of a sudden they became last half of the football year last year, they were an average football team.
Yeah. So if I was betting, I would not bet against Bill Belichick to fail until it happens. That's really what this comes down to. I will not pick – I'm not going to bet that he can't do something with that team until it happens, because he's known this is coming for years. Tom Brady's been 3 or 4 years now where he's either going to leave or retire or be he had to cover for him. He wasn't great on the field last year. He had to cover for him. So,
did you listen to Stern today?
I did not, no. I know Brady was on. I heard
I didn't
he was
either,
on.
but he was, I think, like a 2.5-hour interview I read. I'm going to try to listen to it tomorrow, but for one of the things that came out of it was that Tom Brady said that he knew going into this year, meaning last year, that was going to be his last year in New England regardless.
It must have been because he didn't retire on top after they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and I think that the impression that I got from the article that I read was that he just knew that the team wanted to go in a different direction, and it was time for him to move on and everything. So he knew going into this year that it was done, like he wasn't going to do it. Yeah.
Well, honestly, if I was a member of the Patriots, I would have been rather surprised he didn't take the ride off into the sunset. I mean, come on.
Well, I think if they had won this year, I think he probably would have retired.
But they won the year before. So
I mean,
I know what you're saying. I would like to think that, but I thought he was going to do it the year before. You don't get that opportunity very often in your life. So now he wants to probably do it in Tampa Bay.
I hope he sucks. I hope he is awful.
If
he's not going to be, because they have a really good defense down there, and he has legitimate weapons.
Jameis Winston threw 30 touchdowns. Now, Brady will not be throwing 30 interceptions to go along with that. So
no.
I mean, he won't throw 30 touchdowns either. But
they're gonna need to change the playbook, because Bruce Arians likes to throw the ball downfield, and we all know by watching AFC East games like as much as we do, he cannot throw the football accurately down the field anymore. He's 43 years old. He does not have the arm strength to throw the ball on a dime 65 yards anymore.
It was the same with Peyton Manning at the end of his career. You can't get down there after September ends. So
it's gonna be warm weather in Tampa though.
Yeah, and they honestly, if this, I could see them picking some sites to play games, and then not everyone will get to host football games, and
remember,
it might be all warm weather games.
Well, not only that, a bunch of those games are in domes. Atlanta's in a dome. New Orleans is in a dome. I think they go to Carolina, which is still warm weather, relatively late in the year. I think most of their schedule is either in warm weather or in a dome.
Yeah. All right, we got to wrap this up here, but we'll be back before the draft or around the draft, since it's only 2 weeks away, to talk more football. It's good to have something we can count on.
Something different around here for once.
Yes.
It's good to see you guys. I'm glad that you guys are doing well.
Thanks for watching BuzzChomp.
Subscribe and share.
Subscribe and share.
Subscribe and share.
Share.
Woo.